Hey, welcome everybody. It's time to meet our community, the Hispanic business community here in Orange County. Powered by the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio. Streaming live from our studios here at the University of California, Irvine's Beale Applied Innovation Center. Join us as we celebrate and explore the richness of this thriving community and the real stories of the real people who make it so special. Because our community is your community, right? Says our host, John Gutierrez.
Yes, sir. Welcome, everybody, again to another one of our shows. Yes, our community podcast show powered by the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, where our community is your community. Thank you for joining us today. We have a special guest today, Mr. Reuben Franco, who's the president and CEO of the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. He's also the center director of the SBDC, that's part of our Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And he's also the chairman of our Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Education Foundation. Welcome, Mr. Reuben Franco. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Johnny. Appreciate it.
So we want to briefly go into a little bit about who is Mr. Reuben Franco. Can you share with us a little bit about who you are, your family? Just give us a little insight for those of us that don't, know you very well that are listening.
Okay. Well, I was born in East LA, grew up in Bell and Huntington Park, Southeast LA. Went to University of California at Los Angeles, UCLA.
Go Bruins.
I'm a proud Bruin. Lived on the west side there for a while. Our family moved down to Orange County 20 years ago, and we love it down here. I raised my kids basically here. Lauren was only 4 years old. Jack was only 6 weeks old when we moved down here. Didn't have a lot of connections in Orange County since I grew up in LA County, and got involved with the Orange County Hispanic Chamber because I needed something to I was a banker by trade and needed to network and get to know people, and it was probably the best thing I've ever done is getting involved with the chamber, just from a banker side, now as a CEO of the chamber, just the great people we get to meet and work with. It's been amazing. And just a little bit about my family. I have my wife, Annette. I have a daughter, Lauren, who went to OSHA here, so she's a singer, actress. Went to NYU, graduated from NYU 2 years ago.
Nice.
Now working for the Department of Justice.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and she's still acting and singing though.
That's
she
great.
still has an agent. She still does that. That's still a passion of
It's your
hers.
passion, huh?
Still her passion. And
Nice.
she's good at it. She's a good actress, and so we'll see where that.
Great young lady. We've
Yeah.
met her several times
Yeah.
at our Estrella Awards where she sang, right?
Yeah, she's been singing there since she was 10 years old. So.
And Jack, he's just.
Yeah.
He's Mr. Do it all. He's always around the chamber.
He is.
Such a great attitude, such a great young
Yes.
man.
Yeah, he's going to Saddleback College, taking film. He's really interested in
Wow,
film.
he's at Saddleback College
He's
already?
Yeah,
Wow.
he's at Saddleback. Yeah, just happens way too fast.
Yes, because you've been with the chamber how many years, Reuben?
I've been with the chamber. That's a good question. Well, I've been in Orange County for 20 years and got involved with the chamber as a volunteer and then working for CalFed / Citibank. So almost 20 years.
Wow.
And almost 11 years now as CEO.
Wow.
So yeah.
What would you say that's evolved or changed throughout these years that you've been involved doing what you do in the community?
I think one of the, because I grew up in LA County, so there's a difference, and LA County is big. If you look at Orange County on a map compared to the rest of the state, we're
Yes.
actually physically a tiny county, even though we're bigger than 22 states, right? But I think the nice thing about Orange County is that people like to collaborate here. Not everybody wants to be the head person. People want to work together, and I've just noticed that about the county itself. So we, as a chamber, we get to collaborate with all the universities. We're here on campus here at UCI,
That's right.
we have a great relationship with Cal State Fullerton. That was a campus we were formerly on, the South Campus.
That's right.
We have a great relationship with Chapman, Laverne, Concordia, Vanguard, all the community colleges here. The superintendent of education is on our advisory board.
That's right.
Dr. Alma Harris. So education is one of our pillars. We have 3 pillars, basically. So we have advocacy. We advocate on behalf of our businesses. We'll go up to Sacramento. One of our legislative committee chair, Eddie Marquez, was just up in Sacramento. He just flew back last night, and he was there for a conference, and he was there the prior week too for a conference. So we're very active in Sacramento. I serve on the board of the USHCC, United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I will be in D.C. next week for our legislative conference, meeting with...
Which basically means for a lot of small businesses or businesses of all sizes,
Right.
anytime they get into a jam, right, they can, members, non-members, they want to become members, they can pretty much reach out to you, right, and our organization and say, hey, I'm having these challenges.
Right.
Am I correct? And can you help me with these challenges?
Well, we usually have a connection somewhere, right,
Right.
to be able to help somebody. We're in all 34 cities here in the county, so each city, has different council people, different mayors, different city managers. So it can be unwieldy as a business. What are the regulations? What are the things that you need to be certified for? What are the things that you need to do, or licenses that you need to do business in a certain city? And so even though we're countywide, we deal a lot with the different cities as well, and we try to be a resource to all of our businesses and just our community itself. That's why I think the podcast, kind of says it all. What the title of it is, because we are involved in our community. We're not just a chamber that deals with business. We deal with advocacy. Education's one of our other
That's right.
pillars, and that's very important to us. We started a youth chamber 14 years ago.
which is growing so strong.
And it continues to grow. And what's interesting about that is that we created it with just the intent of helping students, giving scholarships and helping these students be out in the field. And I tell these students, I said, look, when I was 18 or 19 years old going to UCLA, I didn't get to meet all these people, that you get to meet.
The resources,
the
right?
resources. You get to meet
connections.
somebody from OC Hospice or U.S. Bank or Wells Fargo or
Mhm.
Disney or, captains of industry.
That
or,
great mentorship,
yeah,
right?
nonprofit leaders and stuff like that. Usually when you're that age, you're on an island. You're at your school. You got your head down. You're studying, but we're trying to get these students just more exposure to corporate America, nonprofits, to just the kind of the structure. So when they do graduate, they are ready. They're going to hit the ground running, ready to go out on the marketplace. So that's huge for them and for us. And so what we've also done, though, and it wasn't our intent, is with that program, is that we have a bench. We have a very strong bench. We have people behind us to replace our board members, to replace me, to replace others
Yes.
as leaders, right? So we
Yes.
have some people who were here 14 years ago,
That's
starting as our first,
That's right.
that are now running their own business. They're
Yes.
high up
Mr.
in
Mike
the
Limon.
profession. Yeah, he's running his own nonprofit.
We've talked about actually
Right.
having him on the show.
Right.
Recently.
That's exactly right. And
Mhm.
so it's just an amazing process when you think about it. We have just some great stars out there
Yes.
that have gone through it, 14 years later, that are, working for Pepsi or working for U.S. Bank or working for Wells Fargo or working for Union. I mean, it's just amazing.
I've
some of the
always told
students.
people, as you know, Isis, who works for us,
Right.
Isis
Yeah.
Calvario, works for our OC Hospice, and she's our director of volunteer
Yeah.
services. She came from a lot
Right.
of those roots that
Yeah.
you're talking about. And
Yeah.
when we met her and she joined our team,
Yeah,
you could see how well polished and skilled she was, coming from
yeah,
all of you, being from the youth chamber
Right.
to working at the chamber, right?
Yeah.
And so she's a perfect example of what these programs are doing for the youngsters. And so I think it's important that people realize that the youth chamber is a very important component to the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and that you advocate also for trying to help them continue to grow,
Right.
right, in the mentorship program. Now, scholarships, right? They also
Yeah.
receive scholarships, something you
there's
mentioned.
also scholarships. And we keep increasing that every year. We get great funding from
Mhm.
different groups like, Experian and U.S. Bank and
And the golf tournament.
Wells and
right?
the golf tournament that
Mhm.
you're very involved in and helping put out. And we want to continue to grow that. We want to be able to give out at some point 100,000 or 200,000 in scholarships every year. So we want to keep growing that because we think it's important here,
Yeah.
in Orange County.
Speaking of the golf tournament and these signature events, can you go into a little bit of the signature events that the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce does every year? What they are, what they're about, because I think for a lot of
Right.
people viewing for the first time or listening to us,
Right.
they don't know, right? So what are these events? What are they about?
Well, we have the Estrella Awards coming up actually on May 7th at the Disneyland, the beautiful Disneyland Grand Ballroom. It's a fantastic Grand Ballroom. We run the biggest, or have the biggest, black tie Latino event in the county.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been doing it for, it'll be our 27th or 28th year,
Wow.
I think it is,
Yeah.
for Estrella.
Yes.
And we get, we get different corporations. We get captains of industry. We get a lot of nonprofit leaders. We get a lot of elected officials
Yes.
there to this event. And we award people who've done great things in the community, whether it's corporate responsibility or an education award or a volunteer award or a lifetime achievement award. There's some really neat awards that we get to recognize people who've been there doing stuff all the time, not just 1 year or 2 years, but been doing it their whole lifetime in many cases.
And it's a great networking event.
And it's a great networking event.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful facility.
Mm-hmm.
We have some entertainment, and then there's
Mm-hmm.
after that's over, there's dancing and
Yes.
everything until midnight. So it's a
That's what I hear a lot from people that
Yeah.
that the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is a family, right? It's
Right.
not just business where they're as a family. It's these great networking events. And I know after the Estrella Awards, normally there's also the SBA, SBDC, right?
Well, we usually do on behalf of the SBA,
Mm-hmm.
and we've been part of the SBA for many years, and I was a lender for SBA. I was
Okay.
being a banker.
What is the SBA for people listening?
Small
for the
Business Administration?
Okay.
So in the last 2 years, the Small Business Administration has just done
Mm-hmm.
amazing work, right? They had to get out the EIDL loans, which are the economic disaster loans that a lot
Yes.
of businesses needed to survive, the PPP loans they needed, and the money that's on the street now to help businesses survive is just amazing. It really is. That never really happened before. Usually when you do SBA disaster loans, it's for a true disaster, not a financial disaster, but like Hurricane Katrina or something like that, and they have that available, and it's still available. But the last 2 years is just the economic impact on businesses has been amazing. So they've had to step up. And what we typically do yearly, and we haven't done it because of COVID the last few years, is the Small Business Awards on behalf of the SBA.
Okay.
And we get to honor small businesses that have done great work in the community. And we usually have that at the Disneyland Grand Ballroom too, because it can hold, up to 1,100 people. We've had like
I've been to both of those events, the
Yeah.
Estrella Awards, the SBA. They're great events, great
Yeah.
networking opportunities
Yep.
for people listening. Definitely, visit the website ochcc.org. As we're talking about the events, the other thing I wanted to get into a little bit is, what would you say keeps you motivated on a daily basis as the president CEO of such a great organization?
I think it's yesterday I was having lunch with Dean Williamson, who's the dean here of the business school here at UCI. I think that keeps me motivated. I get to meet just some great people who are really concerned about making Orange County even a better community. And I think Orange County is a fantastic community. It's a great place to raise your kids, great place to work, live, and play. But there's also challenges too. What's our workforce going to look like? Housing is an issue. Homelessness can be an issue. It's grown a little bit here, unfortunately. There's some issues all over that you can't. I had a football coach who used to say, you never get better or you get worse. You either get better or you get worse. You can't stay the same.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not constantly working on getting better, then you're actually going backwards.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need to constantly work on that, and we do. And so I think that's exciting, and all the businesses we get to help on a daily basis.
You said some challenges that you've been having. It's interesting. Wouldn't you say that obviously everybody's hearing and seeing that a lot of businesses are having the challenge of hiring staff or finding
Yeah.
people, right? And I think the chamber has instilled a job board, right?
Yep.
So what is this? What does it do for the businesses out there that are listening, right?
Well, it's just a connection to who we are and to our members and beyond our members, our community. If you're looking to hire, and this is not going to be an easy fix for anything. There's not going to be anything instantaneous of getting people back to work, getting the right staffing levels and stuff like this. This is a phenomenon we haven't seen in our lifetime, and that's actually how I got my start with the chamber, was volunteering, and we ran a job fair. Was very successful, and we did really well. Then they asked me to be on the board, and then I've become CEO over the last 11 years. So that's why
So you started involved as a volunteer.
a volunteer, yeah.
Wow.
Just volunteering.
That's great for young kids to hear this, right? Because so often professors in college say to these young, I was just reading an article the other day, the professors continuously tell these young kids in college, hey, volunteer, get involved, right? Because it's going to open doors for you. And so you were talking about our youth chamber earlier. A lot
Right.
of those kids get involved in some of our events. They volunteer, right? They help out at Estrella Awards or whatever it is, the golf tournament. And so that's interesting that you said, you were volunteering, right? What would you say, is something that you would say to somebody listening for the first time that the chamber can be as a platform for them? What would you say to them listening for the first time?
Well, let me just go to your point on volunteering real
Sure.
quick. I tell students that, volunteer at a higher level. Like a lot of people want to network, you pass out their business card and do that kind of. If you volunteer or become a board member somewhere for a nonprofit, that's a higher level. You're getting to meet just some amazing people. I was on the board of Big Brothers and Big Sisters, and that board was filled with just amazing people on it. I learned a lot being on that board. I mean, nothing that I could learn in a book, nothing I could learn at a school or university, but from being on that board, just the questions that were asked. And so we're having an initiative with the chamber, actually, because we get calls almost weekly on, we need more Hispanics on our board, nonprofit boards and stuff. Our service, we're servicing 50%, 75% of the clientele we serve as our nonprofit is Hispanic. But there's a mismatch. We don't have enough Hispanic board members to kind of help guide that way. So we're going to lead that effort. We're going to help, create an environment where we can pull some of our students and others, or corporations too, who want their people to be involved in the community. This is a high way of doing it, a big plus of doing it. So we're going to lead that effort.
That's interesting. You mentioned the board, right? How many board members? You want to share a little bit about that? The board. I know there's an advisory board. For people listening for the first
Right.
time, what are their roles? What do they do? Both groups.
Right. So we have a full board, a governing board for the chamber. It's made up of about 25 individuals, great individuals, and they have fiduciary responsibility for the governance of our chamber. Right.
Okay.
We also have a foundation board that has the same thing for the foundation. So there's a separate. That's a 501c3. The chamber's a 501c6.
Okay. So
And
two different organizations.
Two different organizations.
It's important for people listening, right? Two different organizations.
but in two different boards.
Yes.
And so they have fiduciary and governing responsibility. And then we have an advisory board, and they don't have that responsibility day to day, but that's made up of some very serious players. We have the former SBA administrator, we have the former treasurer of the United States, we have Gaddy Vasquez, who was the UN ambassador.
And we hope to have him as a guest here one
Yeah,
day. We've
the
talked
Bush
about
administration.
Yes.
We have just some amazing people on our advisory board, and they're the type of people that, they're so busy and they sit on so many different boards. We don't need them to come to any type of meeting, but I was on the phone with Gaddy yesterday, actually, and those are somebody we can just call up. Hey, we're having this issue with something, and they can help us.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of advisory board we have, and we want to continue to grow and build. So we're very blessed with that.
I think it's interesting because you're really talking about different layers, right?
Oh, yeah.
You've got like the youth chamber, then you've got members, then you got board members, then you got advisory board, then you got huge community leaders, right? So there's a lot of layers to the chamber.
Yeah, nonprofits are a lot more complex than people think they are. I mean, I've been on, I still serve on the board of the LA Mission up on Skid Row, and it's, you get funding, but you still need rely on volunteers. You rely on your board.
Yes.
You can't make that up. It's not like a corporation where you can just pay everybody whatever. You do rely on people stepping up and helping out, and that's good. And like our third pillar, I can just tell you
Sure.
real quick, is economic development, and we do that through our Small Business Development Center. And so that's where we can help somebody start a business, and which makes us kind of unique as a chamber, right? We don't just have members. We're creating our own members through helping them start a business. We have what's called the Finance Center. So we help, my background is banking, so that fits really well into what I do. So I lead that effort with Craig Russum and our other consultants. And all this consulting, just for people who haven't heard it before, we don't charge anything for it. We get it through our grants from the SBA, from the governor's office,
That partnership.
from banks like Wells and U.S. Bank and CoAmerica and others that help us fund that, and there's no cost for it. So if you came to me and said, hey, Reuben, I want to help me start a business, like, we can help you do that. I need you to help me with funding for the business. We can help you do that. I want to connect to Disney or Honda or some of your bigger members from a possible contract. We can help you do that. We can help you get the certifications.
A lot of resources.
A lot of resources like that. So that's one of, like you asked me what's one of the best things I get to do every day. It's things like that, because we get to help a lot of people on
That's
a
great.
day-to-day basis. It's not just, we're a 24/7 operation, to be honest with you. It's not just showing up to a mixer anymore. We're not your daddy's chamber anymore. It's really morphed into more of a leadership organization doing a lot of different things.
Definitely takes a lot of work and energy, right?
It does.
And
It does.
I know we've got 5 seconds. The producer's over here. 5 minutes. I'm sorry. 5 minutes.
He's
5
yelling-
minutes.
he's yelling
He's
at you.
like, let's get it going.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Paul, and of course, OC Talk Radio for having us here at the studios.
Yeah, it's cool.
This has been
Great
awesome.
facility. Yeah.
Reuben, I just want to, thank you for all you do in the community as a leader. What advice would you give any young leader out there that's listening to you right now?
Well, I heard this from Frank Robinson. He's not the former baseball player, but Frank Robinson works for Union Bank, and his dad told him, "Be the most positive person in the room." And so I always use that with Frank.
That's
and
great.
I give
That's great.
Frank credit for saying it. But when I tell young people, be the most because not everybody's positive. A lot of people walk around like Eeyore, and just like, but it's one thing you could do.
Yes.
That you're a very positive person. Like you always have a smile, and people sense that, and they want to hang out with you. People, they don't want to hang out with curmudgeons and stuff like that. I mean, I don't, right?
Especially coming out of the pandemic, man. We just want to be around good people.
You want to be
positive
around good people. You want to be around positive people.
Yes.
Fun people, happy people, people who don't suck the life force out of you, but bring you energy, right?
Exactly.
And so I think that's what we do at the Chamber. I think we have a lot of great people like you and our board members and stuff. And we want to work with, those type of people. Life's too short to just be dealing with people who don't have a good attitude. But I think that's one of the best pieces of advice I've ever heard. And so I give Frank a lot of credit for telling that, and all of our young people should be doing that, just because that's not always the case.
Well, we want to thank you for all you do. We want to thank you for joining us on the show here. I know in the future, Reuben might also be interviewing some key guests of ours. We want to go ahead and remind everybody that, again, we'll be on next Wednesday. We're going to have a surprise guest. We're not going to tell you who it is. It's going to be a big day. And we want to invite everybody to, of course, follow us at ochcc.org, which is our chamber website, our Orange County Hispanic Chamber website. And, of course, Estrella Awards coming up May 7th, right?
May 7th, the golf tournament, August 30th, excuse me.
Yes.
And then we'll keep you posted on all the other events we have coming up. As we coming out of the pandemic and COVID, we will definitely have more in-person stuff.
Yeah,
so.
the other thing is on Instagram, there's a link there. They can click on all the different stuff that we've got going on. So feel free to go to Instagram, OCHCC, and follow us there. Follow all of our social media. And share this obviously video, because we hope this video will also provide a lot of good information to people in the community. Thank you for being here, Reuben. Again, like we always said at our podcast show here, of course, our community is your community, and wishing everybody a great day. We'll see you next week, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of Meet Our Community. Our community podcast powered by the Hispanic business community here in Orange County. Specifically, the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio. Streaming live from our studios here at the University of California, Irvine's Beale Applied Innovation Center.